Let's get it on!
Sprawl and brawl, ground and pound. Get ready for an MMA showdown. Now, the ultimate Octagon Insider, Sean and Tristan Ducross.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan Ducross, and this on my side, as always, is my brother, my partner, crown the one and only Sean Ducross. We are trying a new look, a new setup again, so I hope you guys like it and enjoy it. Yeah, because everything is a little bit new, kind of like what happened over the weekend, right, Sean?
Absolutely. Over the weekend was UFC 249. It was one of the rare ones. It was done in front of no crowd, but yet I kind of didn't mind it. And it was weird. I was talking on social media, and it was one of those things that I was like, I kind of don't mind it. I really got into it. It was one of those things that it was like, it was awkward at first, like when you see Joe Rogan, you see John Anik, you see DC, and you see them standing together and they're violating the social distancing. And then all of a sudden, you look and they're on one side of the spectrum during this whole thing. And one thing I was talking to you about, as well as a couple buddies of mine, was it's weird that when you see John Anik and you see Joe Rogan, basically we're sitting at a booth like this. Joe Rogan on one side, John Anik on the other side. Probably maybe a little bit further than Tristan and I for John Anik and Joe Rogan. But DC was on the other side of the cage by himself. How did that make sense? I was so confused about why DC was on such an island by himself. And DC was like, cheering at one point, and John Adams was like, dude, I hear you all the way over here. And he's like, yeah, so okay, the guy's behind me.
See, even after the end, you and I had a couple conversations throughout the whole entire event about the social distancing and the situation, because one of the issues, Sean, that kind of popped up into our attention was the fact that at that time, you know, while we're looking at how the presentation is, and probably tonight's event, yes, there's an event tonight,
which we'll talk later on in the show about,
is that, again, Joe Rogan was not supposed to be in the cage doing interviews.
Correct. And he was in the cage doing interviews and shaking hands.
He was the only one that was so adamant, and what I thought at times, he was so uncomfortable at times, because it was like as if he knew he wasn't supposed to do it, but it was so second nature to him that he was like, you know what?
I'm all in.
I'm all in.
It is what it is. I'm moving forward. You're either going to be okay with this or you're going to be uncomfortable with this. And I mean, I give him props that he walked in and he was comfortable. Not many people would have been comfortable with that situation. I made the comment that, hey, so much for social distancing. What was interesting is that they keep the whole thing of social distancing at the end on the post fight.
Yeah.
That when it came out of the cage and they were still talking to the fighters, they had the one reporter in one area and then the fighters in the other area. So I'm not sure maybe if that was because Joe Rogan was comfortable and then the girl wasn't comfortable. Maybe that's where the disconnect was.
See, what was interesting about this whole entire fight card is because finally we got a fight card, right? We finally got one.
Yeah.
But then we were also kind of shown what the new world is going to look like, at least for a little while.
Yes.
I'm expecting tonight's showing to be a little bit better than what the first showing was.
No, I don't.
I'm not talking about the card.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how the interactions are going to be with the commentators. because at times I thought the commentators were lost because, like you and I, we feed off of each other when we're close to each other.
Yes.
And when we started calling fights, we love to feed off each other's energy the way that we see it. Joe Rogan, DC, and Anik all do the same thing. Anik a little bit more so where he is able to kind of do stuff by himself and get away with it.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, same thing. Daniel Cormier feeds off of those two.
And that's what I was seeing throughout the event I was like, ooh, Daniel Cormier sounds a little bit uncomfortable at times. Because it was a lot of the, like, oh, hey, let's see how this plays out. Let's see what goes on here. And it's a lot of, ooh, like, or expecting a reaction. And then when he doesn't get a reaction, it was kind of like, uh-oh. Okay, how can I gauge what type of reaction I'm supposed to give solo? So that's what I got from DC. He did a good job on an island by himself, and I say on an island by himself because he was. So he did a great job. And the boys, John Anik, Joe Rogan, did a great job for what they were. There's a couple of quiet spots in there because the crowd wasn't there to take it all out. They weren't there really to conversate with each other. But all in all, the commentary side of it was pretty good. I like the fact that we were more invested in the fighters in this. Like, I will turn down the TV a lot of the time to keep it low key because I don't care for the commentators. I don't care to hear that. I want to analyze and break down what I see. I don't often like to hear the fans because I feel like sometimes the fans are just that of the fans. And they take away from the action and they don't often realize what the fighters are doing inside the cage. The nonsense booing. We're always advocating that don't boo the fighters. It's just a game plan. It's just a structure. So I like that aspect that all I was like zoned in into the fighters and everything else like that. And then like it was just said in the chat. Yeah, DC was good because he was so loud that Francis Ngannou,
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy made the comment about, yeah, dude, he was like a third coach. Like, I heard everything he was saying. Like, if you don't do this, then you're going to get popped with this. So I like that aspect. And when we commentate, we bring that aspect into our commentary. It's like, dude, do you hear that corner? That corner is saying this. They're doing this.
Yeah, because when there's nobody out there and there's nobody kind of, it becomes so kind of like, I'm trying to figure out the right word. Without fans there, it's kind of like a dark kind of mute thing going on. Yes, there's fights going on inside the cage. Yes, you can hear certain things going on. But as a fan, you're expecting that excitement, right? You're expecting that, that's what you're expecting to hear across the television. So as commentators, you have to now be able to bring the audience in from the TV into the cage, inside the side, into the octagon, so they could feel part of the show.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I thought we got from the UFC 249. And I applaud what the commentators did because they've never done anything like this before. So I applaud them for doing it. When you have a product like this, you have to go outside of your comfort zone. They did exactly that. I applaud them for that.
Absolutely.
Fans, I applaud you guys for tuning in tenfold. I applaud you for that. Because it means the world to the fighters as well as the company. Yes, I'm actually saying that. Prelims did 1.15 on ESPN. Congratulations. Killed it. Record setting. From all accounts, the pay-per-view, they freaking tore the roof down. Good job.
Yeah, according to the Sports Business Bureau, Sports Business Journal, and released the numbers, and they're north of 700,000. North. And mind you, let's reflect on that, okay? The fact that you look at Justin Gaethje headlining. You look at the fact that he was headlining with Tony Ferguson. You look at the fact that it was Henry Cejudo and Dominick Cruz. And there was a trickle. Okay? Most of those guys have not headlined a bout by themselves. Most of those guys have not headlined. But they drew a record breaking for UFC in what was described as an era of not gonna happen. Well, it did. And Dana White says that maybe this is the new future. If they could do $700,000 buys and maybe get a revenue cut from the ESPN Plus, a little bit more than what they're doing now, it may entice them to go this avenue.
For the time being, absolutely.
There's rumblings that they lost maybe $5.5 million in gate money. So while it was a little they still did enough that warrants that it's not a bad decision to put on a fight card during COVID. It's an interesting debate, especially going forward, about what the future entails for all sports. Now, you look at the UFC and you look at combat, you look at boxing and stuff like that, you could probably see this in boxing, combat, Muay Thai, any type of event like that where fans aren't necessarily a need. And it was interesting because I didn't think that it was possible. But here I'm reflecting on it, and the only thing I see that's not possible is to put forward an event like baseball, football, hockey. Because how can you put on a sport that is essentially 3 hours long where you need fan excitement, fan interaction? You don't need fan interaction for somebody punching another dude in the face.
Facts.
You need some enticement to watch baseball.
Especially if you're going to sit there for hours on hours and hours.
It's just the same way with wrestling. You have to be enticing the fan to watch wrestling. I somewhat have a hard time watching wrestling right now with the WWE with no fans or no employees around, because I can't stand the every 2 seconds of fighters knowing that you're not generally hitting a wrestler.
I get that.
But when you go to AEW right now, the staging of the wrestlers around brings in a crowd environment, so you don't often hear that.
Although they should not have gone back to Daly's Place in Jacksonville. Just saying. That is a big arena, and it looked horrible with the spread out fans on live television. Don't do it again. Don't do it. It's unless you can pack in at least 15 to 20 people and somehow cut out all the emptiness in the back, then I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the no crowd in certain situations. Just not. But then you get to the card. Get to the fight card, Sean. You have a new champion. And the new champion is officially none other than Justin Gaethje.
And we've been so high on Justin Gaethje for years, since World Series of Fighting, and kept telling people, don't sleep on this kid.
Right?
Yeah, his demeanor, his fight style was reckless and ruthless. But when you become a fighter, you end up evolving. And anybody that's watched our show for over the decade that we've been doing it, is that in order to be successful, you can't be afraid to evolve. And Justin Gaethje did just that. He evolved as a fighter. He realized that
going in there reckless ain't going to get the job done.
With some of the best fighters in mixed martial arts being in the UFC, you can't go in there with that same style that you did against Luis Palomino. That made you infamously famous among the MMA community.
100%, because it reminded you of the Mickey Ward and the Arturo Gatti fights. You looking at those two. It's funny. It was brought up too. Is that Sam Alvey interacting with no crowd? Absolutely. What about Buffer? I think that might have been a slip of the tongue. I don't think he was playing with the crowd, but to the thousands in attendance, the main event of the there's
nobody there.
Nobody in the audience. Nobody. But I mean, he's been doing this for how long, Sean? So yeah. I'll give him a pass on that because, dude, you've been doing this for a long time. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious when he said it. It was to the priceless. Thousands in attendance. I was like, bro, there ain't nobody there. There's no need to say that. But was it just me, or was watching Tony Ferguson versus the Justin Gaethje fight? Is that Justin Gaethje was not fooled by any of the hijinks that Tony Ferguson was putting out there. You know, where he gets quirky or unorthodox, switching stances, showboating. Justin Gaethje was just like, bro, I'm here to fight. You could do all that. Just know I'm going to punch you in the face.
Right.
And boy, Justin Gaethje did that over and over and over again until ultimately it was like as if he was going to break the will of Tony Ferguson. Instead, he broke his orbital bone.
And among other things. His spirit. Even though if you watch the video that was on social media, he was having fun, he was dancing, he was enjoying his moment.
But Tony Ferguson got paid $500,000.
Yeah. See, I'm so...
Highest payout on the UFC cards goes to Tony Ferguson. I'm trying to figure out how. I know the buy rates are through the roof, and I know that multiple people are going to get it. I get it.
The reason why, because he came in as a champ, and he put on Fight of the Night. That's why he got paid more. That's a no-brainer. But the outcome of the fight was so hard to stomach. It was one of those things that it took you back to the Stephon Bonner and Forrest Griffin bout. It took you back to the fight of Robbie Lawler and what's his name? Roy McDonald. It was hard to stomach to watch for 5 rounds. 5 rounds. 5 rounds of pure, ruthless punishment of another fighter.
Right. And so now after this fight, Sean, we get questions about the mindset about Tony Ferguson, right? Because we've seen fighters, you go to war, you go to battle, you leave it all inside the cage, you say you're going to die inside the cage. Are you prepared to die inside the cage? I honestly believe that at times Justin Gaethje, it means exactly that. Tony Ferguson, he's a different breed. He's a different animal. Mentally, psychology, mindset, totally different beast compared to everybody else. Tony Ferguson, to be in the war and in the battle that he was, this one was far different than Pettis. This was far different than the other fights. We've seen fights like this take years off of fighters. This fight will be no different for Tony. Even though Tony Ferguson is quick to say, hey, I'm good. I'll be right back there next time. I believe he'll be there next time. Not necessarily sure about his mindset being there next time. I think he has to look at himself again. You have to learn how to evolve. I don't know if I solely put this on the coaches with him or himself, but I don't necessarily know what his game plan was coming into this fight.
No, his game plan was the same game plan that it's always been.
I'm going to do a bunch of hijinks inside the cage, Unorthodox, you're going to fall for it, and I'm going to hit you.
Yeah, it sounds almost about right. But
That's a lot like
here's
the Dominick Cruz fight.
But here's where the disconnect was in that fight, Tristan. Okay? As soon as Tony Ferguson got hit with one of many right hands from Justin Gaethje, that thought process of I'm going to be unorthodox, I'm going to be awkward, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to do that, went right out the door. When he went down and like swiped as if he went Bloodsport on Justin Gaethje, wiped the floor and threw sand in the eyes of Justin Gaethje, that's what I knew Justin Gaethje had Tony Ferguson. Because to me, that showed how mentally broken he became in that fight. Because of the fact that he went to hijinks that to me didn't come off as Tony Ferguson-ish. It came off as, I'm hurt.
I'm in a fight.
And
this is a little bit different.
Exactly. That's the way I saw that fight.
So with this fight being done, we got our new champion, right?
Yes.
We have Justin Gaethje versus Khabib, almost 100%. Fight Island, June, the summer. June.
I'm here in July now.
It's going down in the summer. I think this is a bad matchup stylistically again for Khabib. And I say that because if he did not hug Conor McGregor and that fight was there to stand, Conor would have beat him. It's a known fact. Say what you want, believe what you want. I honestly believe that fight would have been a lot different if it was standing up.
But it's not going to stand up when you have a world-class wrestler.
Right. Because he doesn't like to get hit.
Even though if you ask
Gaethje can wrestle. Nobody knows Gaethje can wrestle.
Yeah,
Gaethje has defense, but yet nobody knows about that because this guy's like, dude, I'm just going to take your head off. I'm going to make you respect my power, and I'm going to destroy you minute by minute, second by second. That's what he's going to do. That's Justin Gaethje. Coming into that, he's going to show exactly that, hey, I don't have some washed-up defense. And I just don't like this matchup for Khabib. I don't. Conor nipping at the heels, too.
I feel bad for anybody in the lightweight division, Tristan, that has to go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, buddy.
If Justin Gaethje is now evolving as a fighter and go 5 rounds of dropping bombs and still able to go, there's not many people that are going to be able to withstand that punishment. One thing, too, not to take away from Tony Ferguson. El Kukui, I was saying this during the fight. He's the boogeyman.
He looked like the boogeyman after that fight.
My God. The boogeyman.
But should we call the boogeyman Keith Peterson?
Okay, here's my issue with that. We're not talking about Henry Cejudo and Dominick Cruz.
No, we're talking about a referee.
We're talking about Dominick Cruz versus Keith Peterson.
Not the fight.
This is very childish and immature on both parties. Not just X, Y, and Z. For Dominick Cruz to state that Keith Peterson smelt of cigarettes and alcohol is disrespectful on multiple levels.
Okay, hold up. So a couple fighters that have fought with Keith Peterson as a ref, this is what they have said. Yes, 100% he smells like cigarettes. They have never smelled alcohol on his breath. But cigarettes, yes. All the time. And quote, he smokes like a chimney. Sometimes he smokes before he goes out into the cage. So he smokes cigarettes. Our folk, Sean, has smoked cigarettes for a very long time. We know what that smells like.
Yes.
We can walk into certain rooms and we'll be like, oh, we know you smoked. Because that stitch lingers. It does. On your clothes, on your breath. It's there. So I believe that certain fighters that I'm not going to say names, but they have said Keith Peterson does smell like cigarettes, 100%. Another issue that came up was that Dominick Cruz said that he looked in the eyes of Keith Peterson, looked in his eyes, and he is super quiet. Dean talks a lot. Big John McCarthy talks a lot inside that cage. He would rather have had, if he had known this, that he would have taken Dean or Big John McCarthy. Again, other fighters have said that Keith Peterson is a known, quiet referee inside the octagon. He does not talk much. Some fighters like it, some fighters don't. Dom did not like that. So again, do not forget that when you're inside the cage, you are the man in control. So while being quiet, being inside that cage, understand that you have two fighters that are putting it all out on the line, that you have to understand you are the controller of the cage. Just that. Dean has come out and said that he's a professional referee. He has never done anything like that in his life. But Dominick Cruz is still going on media platforms and slandering his name. Do you not understand the ramifications of that could be? That is a fireable offense, is it not? They now have to investigate Keith Peterson because of accusations of this. Man, that is not right by any stretch of imagination. If this is not true, Don, what do you get out of this, bro?
Exactly.
You lost. Be humble in defeat.
And I get why Peterson is going to social media and taking shots at Dominick Cruz because, I mean, you're ruining his reputation. You're ruining the chance of potentially him ever reffing again inside of a cage. It's not fair. It's not right. Dominick Cruz said that if he almost didn't walk into that cage, well, then why did he? He wasn't obligated to. If he felt that disrespectful, that he was on something for your safety as a fighter, why would you step in that cage? There's nothing in this world that would have said, you know what? I feel comfortable stepping in that cage. I would have went over to the commission and said, I'm not comfortable with it. If it was that bad, the commission's there.
Right.
The commission's around the cage. There's other referees around the cage. They could have made the
absolutely.
Adjustment.
You could have said, hey, postpone this fight. I don't want this ref. Check him out right now. There were so many different ways that you could have done something to prevent this if you were 100% in what you were saying. But no, you waited till after the fight, then take it to another level by slandering another man's name. Man, there better be concrete facts behind this or else something's going to go sideways. Real quick.
Absolutely, and that's not something that you want to test that boundaries with.
But what went sideways was Francis Ngannou's opponent. Dude.
Yeah, it was just said that we almost witnessed the murder, and I was like, wait a second,
I'm going to butcher his name, so I apologize in advance. But Rozodnik, I'm going to go with that. Dude, they were literally just swinging from hellfire and brimstone. left, right, over, swinging with vengeance.
Reckless abandonment.
That was crazy. And then one magically lefts on the chin and he is just starched. Right up against the cage. Right up against the cage. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and Tristan mentioned that apparently Dominick Cruz is not the only one that has mentioned any type of things about Keith Peterson. But I think there's a time and a place to hold Keith Peterson accountable for his actions. And I think that if it was really of a big issue as Dom is making it out to be,
there has to be other people involved.
There was legitimately stuff he could have probably done before he walked in that cage. I'm just saying.
Yes.
He asked, and I'm surprised nobody had an answer for Dominick, because I'm 99.9% sure he could have asked the commission right there, like, hey, I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
And then there would have been something done with it. And Gano's knockout wasn't one of the best I've seen him do, but he's a scary heavyweight for what the outcome is, and he's frustrated and annoyed because there's thinking about, like, you'll get DC if DC versus the NBA doesn't happen. I don't know if he deserves a title shot yet. I think he may have to get one more bout. But an interim title shot does sound a little bit intriguing versus Daniel Cormier. It looks like an eerie similar of like Daniel Cormier versus Anthony Rumble Johnson. I'd be interested to see how that fight goes. So it's interesting. I would like to touch on Henry Cejudo, but we got to go to a break. Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit on our way out. But there is so much things we can talk about with UFC 249 that it could be the whole show if we wanted to.
All day.
But you got to.
We could have made this a UFC show all day, because you had UFC 249, UFC Fight Night tonight, UFC Fight Night Saturday. Folks, we got pronounced Rosenstruck. Okay, Rosenstruck. Well, he got starched and it looked like something out of the video game from EA Sports, Fight Night. Just keep hitting left hook, left hook, left hook until you knock somebody out. That's basically what that was. But we're going to go to a break and we'll be right back. You are listening to the Ducross Brothers, the Sports Warriors, right here on this fine Wednesday afternoon. We are the Ducross Brothers Sports Wars, a combat sports talk show live Wednesdays. If you want a new, fresh take and opinion-based talk show, we're your boys. We do this every Wednesday. Sean and Tristan Ducross, the Ducross Brothers, the Sports Warriors. All right, everybody, we are back. We are the Ducross Brothers, the Sports Warriors. WWE Money in the Bank happened, and yeah, we're going WWE now from the UFC, and then we will jump right into, we got Mike Tyson says, I'm back. Funny how this comes out after Last Dance, Michael Jordan's. What do you put in a press release? How do I write a press release about Michael Jordan coming back? Michael Jordan? No. 2 words. I'm back. Send it. That's it. Mike Tyson drops a viral video that says I'm back, so we got that next. We also got UFC going down tonight as well as Saturday, so we got our previews of those, and then we're done for the evening. We're the Ducross Brothers, the Sports Warriors, Tristan Ducross, Sean Ducross. As you can see right down here, Sean and Tristan Ducross. You can drop us a subscribe, smash the like button on YouTube, the / the Sports Warriors. You can follow us on Twitter at the Ducross Bros, also up here. ESPN Plus. Go to our Facebook page, the Ducross Bros, and get our pin link, and you can save 10%. I love Auntie. You want the best CBD? Yeah, plugs galore. Auntie. Go ahead, go to iloveauntie.com. Use promo code the Ducross Bros. Save 10% off all your CBD needs. And here's our other buttons that you can also subscribe to us and find us on. So enjoy the Ducross Brothers, the Sports Warriors. Wherever you want us, you can get us. So Money in the Bank happened. And it's funny because we have our 2 winners. Our 2 winners, Otis and Asuka. And then we also had kind of our first murder.
First 2?
First 2 murders on a WWE television.
Oh my goodness.
I've seen murders happen on TV from Impact, which is super weird because they're talking about the undead realm.
Or Lucha Underground.
Yep. So we've seen it happen. It's been done. But we've never seen WWE do it. We have seen WCW kind of do it with the giant falling off the building,
Right,
and then
with
all of a sudden,
Hulk Hogan.
right, and then all of a sudden showed up the same night. Well, Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black were thrown off the roof.
Gotta admit though, dude, that looked gorgeous. The way that Corbin just threw him over, it's like that was well done. But knowing that, yeah, that's fake as hell. That is staged as hell. But it was like, dude, that's dope. That was
Sean, you would think that they would have better sound effects for being $1 billion company
instead of hearing him hit the splat on the bag.
But they're saying that it was a 6-foot drop and that they're okay.
Yeah.
If you still fall 6 feet, bro, you are hurt still.
No,
like my back is hurt. You fall 6 feet, dude. That's like falling from our banister down to the ground. That's going to hurt. Regardless, you might not be dead, but you ain't showing up the next day.
Ugh.
So I don't know. That was weird in itself. The fact that Asuka went up to the top, and King Corbin was at the top, met her at the top, and Asuka kicked him off. I was yelling at Sean, going, "Why don't you grab the other briefcase? There's 2 briefcases, one for you, one for the women. Grab the other briefcase. You didn't grab the briefcase."
That was one thing that was confusing to me. Was
like sometimes I'm trying to figure out, like, does WWE seriously think we're that stupid?
Right? You easily just reach up, grab the green case, you're done.
Done.
Match
Game over. Fight over. Yes, granted that you had no idea where any of the other wrestlers were at this point in time because you were the only one there. That's a great. The fact that I watched the whole entire Money in the Bank pay-per-view and I seriously did not take one thing seriously on that whole entire card. Like, I was laughing most of the time.
Everything was so...
Or going, what the hell am I watching?
Like, the Money in the Bank, like, the Money in the Bank concept itself was like as if you were watching the old commercials that they ran for, what was the pay-per-view? In Your House?
Yes!
It was so cartoony.
This was supposed to be a takeoff on Mad World. And I don't know. This more looked like something that's straight out of the chocolate factory. There is 4 levels to that building.
Like I told you.
How or where are they going? Asuka goes into the elevator. There's legit 3 other elevators that are right there. And the girls look at Asuka as she pushes the button and she's carrying on and going up to whatever floor. The girls look at each other. They take off running to the stairs.
Because it's like, to me, it's like if you're Asuka and you're in the elevator, you already beat him. Like, just go straight to full level, the rooftop. Why are you stopping on level 2 or whatever?
Dana Brooks slipping on water. I don't understand how Dana Brooks slipped on water because Asuka was first one there and she ran right through the water perfectly fine. And then the other girls ran perfectly fine through the wet floor. But yet Dana Brooks is the last one there and she slips and falls. Like, I had more questions and being dumbfounded, but yet I was still glued to the TV like, this is seriously comedy.
I think that's the reason why, because it was so stupid and so corny that you couldn't turn away from how ridiculous
if you
it was.
take away from the match itself and I gotta mention this before I jump into the other match, the match itself. Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard, in his garb in the bathroom, and Rey Mysterio runs right by, and he comes out of the bathroom, zips up his fly, and goes, "I love you, man." Dude, that's like a pedophile thing waiting to happen. He zipped up his pants, looked right at Rey Mysterio. I'm like,
that's awkward.
Ray, I'm so sorry.
Or the fact that Doink the Clown shows up and it's not even Doink the Clown. Like,
again,
like,
why?
Why would you?
We know Doink passed away. That ain't Doink. That looked like somebody you put a long fake chin, squared off chin, like from the Coneheads, and said he's Doink the Clown.
Right.
I get we're in this new world where there's no fans. So you get no pop. You get none of that. And I get it. So what are you going to do to kind of pivot and turn the corner? I get it. But I'm okay with the comedy stuff. What I'm not okay with is acting as the fans that are watching this are stupid. And at times for the WWE, I'm getting the fact that I think that they play off like as if we're stupid.
And that's the thing that I'm starting to understand a little bit more about listening to Jim Cornette.
Okay.
Is the silliness nature of wrestling right now. And if you sit back and you watch wrestling, sometimes they try to convey that we're ridiculous.
34 years old, Sean, and I have not stopped watching wrestling since I was little.
Just so you're not 30.
35.
I'd like to be 34.
Sorry, 35. I lost a year.
That'd be great. Let's go back a year.
Right?
2020 has been shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it has. But yeah, I'm okay with some of the comedy stuff. I'm not okay with you acting as if the fans are stupid.
Or what about the other thing? Freaking Paul Heyman. The advocate. Hold on. Paul Heyman.
The advocate of the
Brock
beast
Lesnar.
incarnate.
So he's due to be a little bit more cynical, a little bit more angry-ish towards certain things. Here he's sitting at a food table.
All by himself.
In a big giant food table. And then
again, if you're sitting at a food table.
And then gets food thrown into his face.
No, but here, again, I'm just thinking realistically here, right? So, how hard is it really? How hard is it to act as if that table might have been like catering and you had other people there around Paul Heyman? How hard would that have been to do something like that without having just Paul Heyman sitting there?
Right?
And then the fact that he takes a pie shot of food and stands there and stares. No emotion, nothing.
Like what would have been really great would to be all of a sudden Brock Lesnar comes out of nowhere and hits somebody with a suplex. And then they all run screaming.
Right. Again.
Epic moment.
That would have made sense.
Oh no, here's Brock Lesnar suplex. Somebody goes right to the thing.
But no, you don't. WWE Money in the Bank was a good card. I just thought that
it was fun for what it was.
Right.
And the interesting thing, Tristan, is that came out was that Vince McMahon then announced that, oh, by the way, because of this, they're thinking about alternating how their pay-per-views are generally done now. Because of it. Please don't. Please. Save us from that.
They are in such dire straits right now that they are literally grasping at every straw.
I guess it's
and what we came to an understanding last night on Monday was that Becky Lynch is pregnant.
And Asuka,
when she grabbed the briefcase, what she didn't know was the Raw Women's Championship inside there.
Yeah.
Where we were all made to believe that there was a contract for a title opportunity inside that briefcase. Which, in fact, it wasn't. And the only person to have the combination to said briefcase was Becky Lynch. But nobody knew this until Monday.
Right.
That's a problem. Like, there's no cohesiveness right now amongst that. Otis wins the Money in the Bank, and I'm okay with this because I think the best storyline right now has been Otis and Mandy. Ziggler.
Has it?
Yes, and Ziggler, and also with Sonya.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Just because you like to look at Mandy.
No. Sean, it's the only storyline legit on WWE that has had any kind of storyline that tied into anything.
I was trying to figure out how this is going to play out. Do you really see Otis as a heavyweight champion?
No, what I see this is a big FU to the Revival. Revival leaves. Tag team titles are non-existent, irrelevant in the WWE. How can you make the titles relevant now?
Because he's going to cash it in with
Tucker to win the tag team titles. So now for a month, maybe this becomes like a month program that you don't know when Otis is going to cash in for the tag team titles. Don't know. Now the tag team titles become relevant because you have the Forgotten Sons that are there, New Day, the Usos. Well, Usos are done for right now because of
6 months, I think, is what.
Yeah, because of an injury. So now you make the tag team titles relevant, and a big FU to the Revival because the Revival's going to AEW. The Revolt, right? As the Revolt. So
Essential Carter.
Oh, dude, if EC3 goes to AEW, again, I wish there was fans. I really do. Because the reaction those guys would legit get from the audience jumping over to AEW would be incredible.
If you do it right, Essential Carter and the Revival, or the Revolt, whatever they're going to be called, it's promising.
Yeah, so, I mean, Money in the Bank, it was what it was. Like, legit, it was what it was. I have more plot holes and questions now after Monday than I did at Money in the Bank, right? Asuka's going to be there. Shayna Baszler calling out Becky Lynch that, how do you throw away your 10-year career for a child? Why? Why would you say something like that? Why? And it became like a running gag throughout the whole entire Monday Night Raw about that. So we're going to go to a break and come back, and we got Mike Tyson, the viral video that went around the world with 2 words. I'm back. So will we after this. The new Cross Brothers Sports Warriors, a new combat sports talk show right here live Wednesdays with your boys, Sean and Tristan Ducross, where we break down and rip it from the headlines, break down UFC fight cards from Bellator, you name it. We got combat sports from fighting, Muay Thai to wrestling. Got you covered right here on the new Cross Brothers. We are the New Cross Brothers Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan Ducross. Along my side, as always, my brother, Sean Ducross. Thank you for tuning in to us this fine Wednesday afternoon. Hope you guys are having a wonderful time. ESPN Plus, hit up our Ducross Brothers fan page. Click the pin link, save 10%. I love Anti. All your CBD needs, iloveanti.com. Use promo code DucrossBros, save 10%. Here's our other notables that you can find us, our platforms. As well as down here, you can find us. In the meantime, Sean, Mike Tyson again in the news.
What is this? What is this? 3rd week in a row he's gone viral or something. 3rd week that he's gone viral for something that is like, really? We're doing this again? And you talk about Mike Tyson and you talk about where he's at as a person, as you can see right here. The one with the Clipper shirt is him ready to go and saying, I'm back. So now the question lies is that everybody's like, oh my God, Mike Tyson's back. Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm back reference just means I'm back.
Right? In terms of the shape.
Look at me. I'm trimmed up.
I'm looking
healthy.
good.
I'm healthy. I'm better than I've ever been. My marijuana store is legit. I'm killing it business wise. I'm a smart dude. My comedy thing is outstanding. That's why he's back. He's back because he wanted to get in better shape. He got that itch to the competitive itch to come back, and that was his thing. He wanted to get into better shape. He took a page out of Timberland. If you didn't know, Timberland, the producer, was a little bit on the heavier side, and then I think I heard something like in 2006 he started to take fitness serious. Then if you look at him now, he's jacked up because he wanted to get a healthier lifestyle. Maybe that's what Tyson wants to do. Maybe he has no competitiveness wanting to step back in that ring ever again. And if he does, I just hope that it's not deja vu all over again, because Mike Tyson lost his spark years ago.
15 years ago, to be exact.
And when you lose that spark in 2005, when you lose to a guy who you referred to as a tomato can and then he knocks you out,
in bad fashion,
you didn't look the same. When you fought Evander Holyfield, you didn't look the same.
You didn't.
It was almost as
even said that he didn't have that drive anymore.
And when I go back and watch those fights and watch his demeanor, Tristan, it was as if he didn't have that drive. You could see that he didn't have that drive. You could see that that drive was gone from him. That the killer instinct was irrelevant. And nowadays, you have to have that killer instinct. Kill or be killed.
And if you don't have that, we've said that about several UFC fighters, that if you don't have that kind of that itch or that devil talking to you in the back of the head, that
you got to have that switch.
If you do not have that killer instinct to knock out that other person or be in a fight, you are going to get hurt. And that's kind of what you saw with Mike Tyson in the last years. The last two fights getting destroyed.
After he came out of prison in 95, he spent 3 years in prison. And at that time, when he came back in, it's as if that's when his whole kill or be killed instinct was kind of out the door. Because if you look at his fight record after that, he had 2 losses, a win, a no contest, a win-win, no contest, a win, a loss, a win, and 2 losses. Then after that, it's like everything got all kind of shady. When he came out of prison, he ran out 4 straight wins, but those were against fighters that were not of relevance. When he started fighting those guys, as I said, the top tier, he started to show that he wasn't the same guy.
And Sean, and make no mistake about it, he ain't going to fight the top tier talent like Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, or Deontay Wilder. So let's just throw that out there, because that boy will get destroyed if he stepped in the ring with either one of those 3.
If he has that killer instinct, I still strongly believe my words, is that he will destroy a Deontay Wilder. He would destroy a Tyson Fury. If Tyson Fury is the best boxer in boxing right now with no legitimately knockout power, then Mike Tyson can knock out Tyson Fury. If Deontay Wilder just has windmill for hands and just relies on the bronze bomber, Mike Tyson could probably beat him. So it's all about that. If he's back and he has the itch to compete at 53, then Tristan, he can make a run at it. But he can't be the guy that he was 15 years ago, where he came in going, I'm here to collect a paycheck and I'm high as a kite.
Sean, and if he's there just to collect a paycheck, then I'm all for the expedition part. And I'm all for charity fights. Because Evander Holyfield at 57 said, I'll fight Tyson again for charity. So then it got me thinking about, well, who would I like to see him fight in charity events? Evander Holyfield's one. Absolutely. Heck, pull James Toney out of retirement and say, buddy, come on over.
Well,
we will crush the pay-per-view buys.
Well, my thing still stands. Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, absolutely, Roy Jones. Yes. Put Roy Jones Jr. in for a cash pay. Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson on pay-per-view for charity. That's, oh my God. I could see money signs all day. That would make sense. Buster Douglas, pull him back. Shannon Briggs wants a fight with Mike Tyson. Stop talking about it. Stop trying to sell it to everybody. It'll be very interesting to see if that fight ever happens.
There will be no way on this God green earth that Mike Tyson at 53 will ever compete in bare knuckle. He is way too smart for him to put himself through that.
Do you
want to
get hit with those knuckles?
It ain't going to happen.
I don't want to. I don't want to get hit with that.
But you talk about getting hit with knuckles. UFC on ESPN plus 29. Right here, right? This way. Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira. Number 3 versus number 8. That actually goes down tonight. Starts at 4 o'clock on ESPN.
4 fights.
But this is an interesting one because Glover Teixeira, Glover's got to get this fight to the ground. If Anthony Smith wins this fight, he's got to keep it standing up.
Remember 6 years ago, this guy was a top contender in the light heavyweight division against John Jones. And now at 40 years old, we're thinking, does he still have it?
Right? And then if you look at Glover Teixeira, he's lost to most notable 205ers in the division. He's lost to John Jones. He's lost to Phil Davis. He's lost to Anthony Johnson. He's lost to Alexander Gustafsson. Anybody in the top 10 he's lost when it mattered the most. So this should be no different.
No.
Anthony Lionheart Smith should walk right through Glover Teixeira and maybe potentially stake his claim for a light heavyweight title eliminator.
Yeah, maybe.
Dominick Reyes versus Anthony Smith. So you look at that and you say, well, let's see about the title eliminator. You see this bout coming back. Let's get this going. It'll be one of those fights that I know a lot of people wouldn't mind seeing is Dominick Reyes versus Anthony Smith if Anthony Smith wins. But somebody's got to fight. You have to look. Somebody has to compete against John Jones at some point unless they strip him of the title. And then you make Dominick Reyes versus Anthony Smith for the interim title.
That would make sense.
Then you look over across the bow as we get ready to wrap up our show here. UFC on ESPN 8. You've got OSP versus Rothwell. Oh, wait, no, that's on ESPN. The ESPN thing. But you've got on UFC on ESPN 8, Walt Harris versus Overeem is the main event on that one. Walt Harris has knocked out his last 2 people in under 2 minutes. We've seen Overeem get his head knocked off by Nagano. So it's an interesting one for Saturday. Angela Hill versus Gaethje. Gaethje has not been the same fighter since her last 3 defeats, while Angela Hill continues to evolve as a fighter.
Claudia was at one point one of the top women fighters, running off 12 consecutive wins, to now all of a sudden it's just almost like a teeter-totter. Seriously. Win one, lose one. Win one, lose one. Win one, lose one. Win one, lose one. At some point, she's going to have to string together wins, right?
Yeah.
To get her career back on track, she's going to have to figure it out. I just think it's a bad matchup against Angela Hill.
I agree. I think Angela Hill walks out this as the victor. I think Walt Harris walks out the victor on ESPN 8. I think on ESPN plus 29, Anthony Smith beats Glover Teixeira. And I think OSP absolutely wins defeats Rothwell.
And then Orlovsky's going again, still trying to turn back, trying to hold off that father time a little bit. He won't be able to do it against Philip Lins, just saying. He won't be able to do it. Philip Lins will be able to finish off that. But that's it. We're the Ducross brothers. That's Sean Ducross. I'm Tristan Ducross. Until next time, we are out of here. We do this Wednesday. Follow us down here. Smash the like button. Share us. Love us. Till next time, we are out of here.